almost ready for the very final match of the day. So Bastianelli with Jace control and Ramagli with the other Gashment. So
Right.
the matchup is going to be pretty much the
Pretty
same.
much the same as the last one we
the
saw.
archetype is the same one. Do you think that the
Who do
Jace
I want to
control-
be? I want to be Jace Control, I think I want to be Jace Control. I don't know why. I mean, most decks are
Feels
the
better.
same. It just feels better not to play too many creatures, I guess. I want to be the one with library on turn 1.
Well, we will see if Bastianelli manages to pull another library on turn 1 again for the third time in a row. But I talked with Jarola briefly just after the match and asked him if why he decided to keep the one land hand, and
What did he say?
he told me that he thought he was playing a mirror match. So he said that okay, I'm gonna keep this hand and it's gonna be good anyway. So he misinterpreted the matchup. He was obviously quite
Yeah, the deck
angry
list,
about the.
the deck list will be up. The deck list will be up after the event for the whole 3 days. Just to remind you, today we had Vintage and Standard. We covered Vintage, but we also had Standard. There's gonna be Legacy tomorrow, and there's gonna be Modern on Sunday. So we do expect a few more players to show up tomorrow for Legacy,
Yeah.
and especially for Modern on Sunday.
Today is still a working day, so
Yeah, it's still a working day. I mean, people
the low attendance is
is expected. yeah.
expected. Yeah.
There still are people working in Europe on a Friday.
So
Not many, but a few people still work on a Friday.
So Ramagli here plays a mentor, a Gush mentor deck, but with 2 young Pyromancer main deck, and seems to not to have any Jace Rain Prodigy. So it's a slightly different build in respect to Jarola's one. So no Jace, but 2 young Pyromancer. So
So it's
more
it's
aggressive.
Like, it's a more aggressive deck. It's literally even more streamlined. What the deck wants to do is go land mox young pyromancer / land mox mentor or land mox land mentor or whatever. Drop one of these 6 cards as early as possible, and then start making a bunch of tokens with all the cantrips. Cards like Jitaxian Probes. He has a full set of Jitaxian Probe. He has a full set of Preordain. A couple of Pyroblast. He also has a Mindbreak Trap.
One
main deck.
Mindbreak Trap main deck, which is well, really curious if you
Yeah, if you think
so.
about it, I mean, it's probably a concession to Storm. I mean, it's an extra hard counter for Storm. Also, it kind of helps against encounter wars if they're ever gonna happen. I mean, I'm not quite sure if I want to be Jace Control in this matchup. Really, I mean.
So you changed your mind?
I kind of changed my mind. I mean, not necessarily, because it's very hard to talk about matchups in Vintage with similar decks. I can think about Artifact or Storm or a blue deck, but between 2 blue decks, it doesn't really make a big difference if you're playing Pyromancers and Mentors and Gushes rather than a more controlish deck with First Full Knowledge and all. It's literally mostly about the restricted and libraries and ancestrals and whatever. I mean, the way you actually end up the game, it doesn't really make a big difference.
So here Bastianelli decided to keep his first 7-card hand with you've seen Ancestral Recall and a Time Vault. And I might have seen also a Tolarian Academy as well. Yes, there's a Tolarian.
And it does have a mental
misstep. And
so is it going to be the usual
maybe just
land go ancestor in your upkeep kind of thing?
Yeah, it could be the.
This could
Yes.
be the could be
Yeah.
the case, yeah.
Two mental missteps.
Romandi's taking
In
a
the end,
mulligan.
yeah, he decided to take a mulligan. So, wasn't Bastinelli the one who told us, "I will see you in the top 8" or something?
Did he really?
I think he was the very first, the only one we interviewed after the
Right,
match.
okay.
And
Did he say
told
that
us,
in the interview?
yeah, he told us, "I'll see you
I
in
like
the
his
top 8."
stuff. I like his stuff. I like some confidence.
Well, he kept his promise.
Right. See if Romali is going to be happy with this 6. Right, Romali's tries on top. Right. Is it going to be land go ancestor in your upkeep? Yeah, that's ancestor in your upkeep.
Usual.
So is there going to be a
Yeah, but
misstep
he
and
has a
misstep?
couple of. Bastinelli has 2 missteps, so I think he's pretty sure that his ancestral will pass.
So all of a sudden your opponent just mulligan to 5. All of a sudden Romali mulligan to 5.
Romani actually thinking about this misstep, so we can't see his hand, but this means probably that he has some.
He might have a force of will. He might have
You
a force
think
of will
he's just
and
faking
a
it?
dissembled card.
Okay, he
Here's
has.
what he does, yeah. So he decides to keep his free land, his free cards hand, and removing brainstorm rather than making the ancestral resolve, which is obviously understandable.
I'm guessing he targeted the ancestral and not the misstep. Otherwise,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a common mistake that would have, it could have been possible. If you force of will your opponent misstep, then you can just say yes and misstep again, your own misstep.
and then you're gonna draw 3 anyway. Probe from Ramagli. Bastinelli saying no. You can't see my hand.
Right, that's a brainstorm. What's the last card in his hand?
Not sure.
He's just
It
throwing
might have
a
been
bunch of
another
hands.
misstep.
Yeah, it's another misstep and the mystical tutor. Does he also have a Jace? I think he also has
No,
a
I think
No, is
he,
it
no,
a pre-order?
no, he has a four. He's putting the 4th misstep actually on top, and he's gonna probably shuffle
So
it.
he's sitting
back.
on a preordain.
Yeah, with a time vault in his hand. looking not too much concerned right now.
That's floating
Gosh.
2 manas, gosh. Is he just gonna try and drop a mentor now? No. He's still floating 1 mana. And he tries a ponder. Now, Bastinelli has a misstep. And he's just paying for his misstep. Interestingly enough, Bastinelli didn't. He decided not to play preordain. Because he doesn't want to fetch either, because he does like what's on the top of his
Yeah.
deck.
He knew he had the last misstep, so that's probably the right choice.
Interestingly enough, Ramalli played a fetch land, giving out the information of an extra card instead of just playing a dual
Yeah,
land.
the one he bounced back with.
He bounced
Yeah.
a couple of lands
Yeah.
back, and then he played a fetch land. Brainstorm is gone, so he's valuing the extra deck thinning over the extra information of a card. I think I've seen the treasure cruise on top of the deck,
Yes, it is
which
a treasure
might
cruise.
be
Yep.
pretty good in this
So
scenario.
here's a second ancestral, you could say, for Bastinelli. This one,
Right, that's
Forcible?
force of will with a force of will. So that leaves Ramalli with 2 cards in hand, which are 2 lands, and we know they're both lands. Oh, that's first of knowledge off the top. There we go. Actually, no. Did he draw a mentor? Is it just gonna try and draw a mentor?
I didn't see if he drew a mentor or. But
Fetching the 3rd land could really only mean a mentor, right?
yeah. Yeah, that's probably what's happening right now. Also, given the fact that he doesn't have anything else to do, why not doing it? Now he's probably thinking if Bastinelli has some sort of opposition.
Says go.
Okay. Okay.
Oh,
so
okay. That was a dig.
okay.
That was a dig in response. So I'm asking myself
Why fetch?
why is there no volcanic island? Because obviously he does play a couple of pyroblasts. So why did he leave the tundra up? This is what I don't understand. Why did he leave the tundra up rather than a volcanic island? So he's basically just not giving himself the chance of playing a pyroblast.
Yeah, in this matchup, since Bastinelli has only one creature, which is the Colossus.
Yeah, there's no real point in
Yeah,
leaving
well,
Tundra
apart
for-
from the
for-
mentor,
yeah,
but
yeah.
maybe Ramalli thought that
Yeah, we're in
fetching
Ramalli
for
end
a
of turn.
third red mana would cut him out of playing a.
No. He had.
Mentor.
He did have basic tundra. It's just like he could have just stopped the tundra rather than a volcanic island, leaving
right,
one
right, right.
volcanic
Sure.
island open. Obviously, Bastinelli finds
An
an
artifact.
artifact to discard, which is
A big
a
advantage.
big advantage for him. What did Ramalli keep?
And now we have the mentor. Yeah. A second thirst for knowledge from Bastinelli. Which apart from that and the time vaulting, doesn't seem to have much in his hand.
Yeah, just
He
a
drew
bunch
another
of
artifact,
lands, yeah.
but the rest are mostly lands.
Which attacks him, pro?
A series of bad draws from Bastonelli,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
given the fact that he drew so much from thirsts.
See, now we see a mental misstep on the country. Obviously, he's
Yeah, he
only
doesn't
hold,
want-
yeah,
he
he's
doesn't
only
want
holding a
Romali
bunch
to
of
know.
lands. Yeah, he's only
how bad
holding a
his
bunch of
turn.
lands,
Yeah.
so he doesn't want Romali to know. He wants to keep the mystery on his 4 cards.
Duck Faden from Bastinelli, which will help him probably to just
Draw 2 this card.
draw more cards in order for him to see something better than lands.
It's basically just draw 2, discard
Yeah.
2, and fog.
Yeah, this matchup, the other really strong ability is useful only against artifact types, which is a really strong ability. Stealing a Lodestone Golem can really make the difference in a matchup. So,
We did draw
Couple of artifacts, yeah.
Lotus and Mana Crypt. But that's
he
about
opted
it.
to discard the Mana Crypt.
He's keeping a
Yeah,
keeping a
2
Black
lands.
Lotus, a Fetch, and
Yeah,
a
a
Tiny
Lotus
Vault.
Fetch and
Tiny Vault.
Tiny Vault. The match seemed so far from. Well, the match is far from over, but didn't seem like so a few turns before.
What happened? Did he attack?
he-
Bastinelli
I
for
think-
free? Because no one took the dice away.
I swear I thought that he would have attacked Faden. And honestly, I think it's a mistake not to attack.
Well, I mean,
Do you really want to give the opponent to
you
draw
really-
2 more
yeah, exactly,
cards?
You really want to attack.
Because at this point, I think Ramali knows that he is flooding so bad. So
Yeah, you probably want to get rid of that fade, and at least with one
why?
token.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now
There's a bolt. Misstep. Mana drain.
Yeah, which are
Did he
cards
do-
that
yeah.
were being probably drawn by
Yeah.
Doug Faden right now.
Did he declare second main phase before doing that? Because obviously that does make a difference in a way, because you can have like 1 extra mana in your following turn. I mean, it's just they should point out that Bastinelli really is at 13 because it's been attacked for free before. Right.
Well, 1 turn too late.
One turn too late, the Duck Faden actually dies. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Vampiric Tutor means
Okay, this
Bastinelli is
pretty much-
is literally 1 card away from winning this game. Normally says go. Is Bastinelli gonna go for it?
Of course.
He is gonna go for it. at the end of the day, I mean, Ramaldi has 3 cards in hand. All Bastinelli has to do is literally going for the key and casting the key and Volt and trying to finish things off. Even if Ramaldi has a permission spell, I mean, you're still gonna have maybe, well, realistically 5 turns,
Yeah,
5,
probably
6 turns, something like that. But it's not even too bad. Well, maybe not 5 turns because you're gonna take 2 off Empiric Tutor, so maybe more like 4 turns, unless Ramaldi can change something like a Gush.
Yeah, unless he can chain a
maybe
few
you can like
spells.
chain like Gush into
Yeah,
Mox.
and shorten the race.
Yeah.
Sure. So, fetchland for Ramaldi. Four mana, and we have a what is that? A Mindbreak Trap?
Ooh, that's a
I'm-
singleton Mindbreak.
Is it?
Hardcast Mindbreak Trap.
That's
Oh, that's a Pyroblast 1 turn too late. But the good thing for Bastinelli is it does have a permission spell now. So, you know, if he manages to find the key, then you can actually try and win this. Oh, that's another mentor.
Yagmoth's
Is that
Will.
Yagmoth's Will?
I think so.
Yagmoth's
it
Will
is.
might be it.
And all of this, I think it's
Yeah,
just
that's
because that Duck Faden lived a turn.
I think actually
long.
Duck Faden went to 4 and then got attacked for 3. So
Oh, you think so?
yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
that's why he didn't
I think
die?
so. I think it did attack.
All right.
So,
Right, that's
yeah,
possible.
maybe, yeah. Well, he does have Empiric Tutor, right?
Yes.
So I can just Empiric Tutor and draw something. Which is through Colossus.
He can play Duck
play-
Faden from the graveyard as
he
well.
also has
He has
Tinker,
many
so
ways.
he can
He has
just
Treasure Cruise as well.
yeah, he can tinker
There are
into
multiple ways just to draw that card, tutor via Vampiric Tutor.
Yeah, I think he has drawn Tinker, so he can Tinker his Crypt into Key and play Volt. So this should be
So
infinite turns.
yeah. A Tinker as well. Right. Yes. And it's game.
Yeah.
Even though Ramaldi didn't see the way Bastinelli would win, I decided probably that it was for the best.
Yeah, it's probably enough.
So, sideboard-wise, we noticed a very curious thing about Ramaldi's sideboard,
Yeah.
which is, if we're not mistaken,
I'm just
but
gonna
it's
read.
right-
I'm just gonna read Ramaldi's sideboard loud. It's 2 Containment Priest, 4 Ingot Sure, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Stony Silence, 1 Wear Tear, and 4 Wastelands. Which is, I mean, it's a bit curious, but it kind of does make sense if you think about certain matchups in which you want Wasteland, and Wasteland is kind of a precious card.
We've seen many lands being played in the sideboard today.
Yeah, we've seen that. I mean, normally what you see in a sideboard is like a basic mountain and Ingot Sewers, because that's what you gotta do against artifacts. I mean, you're just gonna fetch for your basic mountain and play Ingot Sewers.
Definitely for an artifact deck. Playing against a blue-based deck, you don't expect them to have wasteland effects in their sideboard. So if they were to actually side those cards as well, along with Ingot Sure against an artifact deck, that will come as a big surprise for a player.
Yeah, so many times when you are the workshop player, you kind of think that, right, I can easily keep my workshop as the only land hand and just, drop all my artifacts one after the other. But sometimes, especially in the past when you were playing against, like fish decks, they were applying some sort of denial and playing cards like Days and Wastelands and all these sort of things. Then all of a sudden they force away your first threat and they wasteland your Mishra's Workshop, and all of a sudden you just
you're left with nothing.
You're left with nothing. And that's why one of the most powerful plays against those decks was literally just Workshop Crucible of Words.
Yeah, usually the artifact player is afraid of land denial in mirror matches and against aggro control decks, much like Fish, the old Fish deck, or Hate Bears, the modern Hate Bears, and when it was played the band, the blue-green band in Vintage. But now seeing a deck which doesn't do any denial main deck, featuring a 4 of Wasteland in the sideboard comes as a really big surprise to me, and really interesting though.
Considering that,
really interesting.
Considering Bastinelli always has a Library of Alexandria in his hand, I mean that's probably a good enough reason to sideboard those Wastelands.
Do you think he will actually side?
I don't think so. Definitely not the full set. I mean, I don't really see many cards that he wouldn't like to have main deck. Is Bastinelli mulliganing?
Yeah, I think so.
Ramalli kept his 7 and Bastinelli is mulliganing down to 6.
Yeah. But still, Ramalli doesn't have much to side.
Yeah, there's not much side.
There's nothing that would make any great
like
impact.
Stony Silence, but do you really want to play Stony Silence against that deck?
No, usually Stony Silence is kept in Mentor sideboards to deal against Ted's Cast or Ted's Zerator, as you would call it, just because it shuts down so many artifacts and the lands as well.
On the other hand, I mean, Bastinelli's deck doesn't really have a way of dealing with Stony Silence. I mean, if Stony Silence is in play, then Bastinelli's deck literally can only win by Blightsteel Colossus, which is a decent way to win. But if you want to stop 2 cards by putting 2 more cards in your deck, I mean, it's not like you're gonna stop the whole deck strategy. You're literally just gonna stop 2
Romagny may
cards.
have decided to play with the Stony Silence just to shut down the infinite turns combo, just to be sure that Bastinelli won't be able to take control.
I'm not like a big fan of this. I mean, I like to sideboard 2 cards if they have like multiple targets, because obviously Bastinelli's plan is not to go like land key, land vault, considering they're 2 restricted cards. If you're playing like 4 of each, then it does make sense, obviously. But if you're literally just stopping, 1 win condition, then it's not the best of ideas. tap in 2 manas to play a card that doesn't really do anything.
So Bastianelli kept at 6 cards, just 1 land. And
I mean, this is an okay 6 cards hand. I suppose.
maybe it's a
I mean,
borderline.
It's borderline. I mean, you can't really mull to 5, but you do have
You do
a
hope
mulligan,
to find
yeah.
something
You
on
do
top of
you
your
do
deck.
have a mulligan in the form of Time Bolt. I mean, Time Bolt doesn't really do anything.
No.
But then again, you have Force of Will, you have Mental Misstep, so it's not too bad. There's a Marcus.
Okay.
Pre-ordered. Yeah, Bastianelli doesn't really have anything to protect, so he's just kind of uses Misstep to prevent Romagli to do anything with his pre-order. Were you expecting a Wasteland on turn 2?
This would have been really
Yeah, Wasteland would have been
a
really
surprise
nice,
for
yeah.
Bastianelli, and well,
So Romagli
Really
has
strong.
loads of mana, but he's not doing anything. I mean, and his deck does play 4 Mentors and 2 Pyromancers.
another land for Romagli, and I think he has a Pyromance. No, yeah,
Wrong red
yes,
card.
he
Yeah,
has a
that's
Pyromancer.
He also has a Pyroblast because he just showed us.
Yeah. Which get forced.
Now, if he wants to play Pyroblast, he has to crack his Lotus. Not really sure if
Would
he's
you
gonna
do
that. Would I do it? I don't know. I guess it's. I guess it
With,
depends on the remaining 2 cards in my hand, but doesn't really it's 2 cards for 2 cards, but a Lotus is a
Well,
Lotus.
since Romagli has a lot of mana, maybe
Maybe he doesn't really
Lotto
care about
doesn't.
that Lotus.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So Pyromancer doesn't resolve, and all of a sudden, Romagli has 2 cards and Bastianelli has 4. Bastianelli is getting terribly close to actually play his Dig for time, which could be a problem. I mean, he's literally one fetch land away
yeah,
from playing Dig for time.
and if with that dig he finds the
Oh, that's Ancestral Recall. I think that's a freshly drawn Ancestral Recall. Okay, he's just gonna force a will with Dig. Did he just force a will with Dig? What's the
Yes.
last card?
Oh,
that was the last card.
oh.
That was the last card.
That was so we have a winner.
We have a winner. That was quite impressive.
That was
I
a
mean,
surprise.
what would have that card been? Like
The
why-
really important
He's only
one.
one fetch land away from playing Dig. That's
I was about to say that, yeah, with that fetch he could actually play dig and find the missing piece, but he had
I
the
was
piece
quite
already in
surprised
his
he had
hand.
the piece already. That was just more than he could ask for.
So Bastianelli wins. I don't know about the quarterfinals, but Bastianelli beat 2 Gash Mentor decks in the semi-final and finals. So beating the current Tier 1.
Yeah, I mean his deck is not particularly original. We've seen that before. It's just the usual control deck with maybe like it's literally like 3-4 slots dedicated to the winning condition, which is
Vault Key and
Colossus, and Tinker.
Yes, a couple
but Tinker works out to be, another tutor for the other combo piece, plus, just a fast way to win with Colossus in case you pull it off and just put Colossus.
Yeah, there's
a
couple of Jace Demand Sculpture as well.
Yeah,
so
just in case, and maybe one
it's a slow
Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, he does have one Snapcaster Mage, but I wonder how many games he actually win with the Snapcaster Mage. Probably not many. I mean, as I said, it's always interesting to watch Vintage. Tomorrow we're gonna have another really interesting day with Legacy. We do expect many more people to show up, and on Sunday we're gonna have Modern.
And I don't know about you, but I'm really curious about the meta game
in
Modern.
In Modern, yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
I'm really curious.
Modern is one of them. The most common decks are never like over 10-15%. Historically, in every tournament, you always see like 10-15%, and that's the dominant deck. I mean, you don't see like a 35-40% meta game. That only happened with Abzan once, and that obviously was like a response to Twin being like that good. But after a Pro Tour with like 6 Eldrazi decks and 2 Affinity decks in the top 8, and being so close to the new cards coming out, I mean, how many people are gonna just show up to a Modern tournament without, either playing Eldrazi or considering Eldrazi to be a massive part of a meta game? So, if I had to say a number, I would say on Sunday, 20%. That's gonna be, the most common deck on Sunday. That's gonna be 20%. I wouldn't give it more than 20%. I don't think it's going to be more than 20%. Because historically, that's just how Modern is.
Yeah, that's fair. And anyway, 20% is still a really big
chunk
of the meta game.
Of the meta game.
You don't see that many archetypes.
But what's surprising of Eldrazi is not the percentage of the people playing it, is the win rate that he had at the Pro Tour, because on day one the blue-red Eldrazi deck had like a 95% win rate, and most teams that played Eldrazi, they made 10 people made top 25 of the China Fireball face-to-face team. I mean, it's just the deck is real. I mean, the deck is obviously really powerful, and people have to deal with it, and they have to consider it being part of a meta game. They have to consider Chalice of the Voice being part of a meta game, shutting down your burn deck or your infect deck or whatever, and they have to consider other decks that actually play quite well against Eldrazi or Affinity, kind of like Abzan Short or these kind of decks, decks with like Short of Calling and Archangel of Tune, or Lingering Soul against Affinity or whatever, or Meliora Pod decks. These kind of decks that maybe I wouldn't call them niche, but they were not that heavily played in the Pro Tour, but they would have played out really well against the Pro Tour top 8. So
don't forget Blue Moon as well, which is another niche archetype,
it's another niche archetype.
Seems to perform, at least in theory, quite well against Eldrazi.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a deck that can attack the mana base with cards like Blood Moon, or we will see some Pater Servants in the sideboards. We will see these kind of cards. Do you reckon there's going to be any Eldrazi's in Legacy tomorrow?
Last week we had another Legacy tournament here in Milan, and I personally had a matchup against an Eldrazi deck. So since the Pro Tour is past, I expect more players to actually try to brew a version for Legacy.
It is possible in the end of the day. You can play up to 16 Sol Ring lands. I mean,
there are so many lands that can give Eldrazi 2 mana.
It's definitely viable.
So,
I mean, I would say it's viable. Also, you do have ways of beating miracles, and it's literally a quite powerful deck. I mean, you do play a bunch of 4/4s and 5/5s. You do interesting things, So I would advocate that in the modern tournament on Sunday, there's gonna be more monocolor Eldrazi, well, colorless Eldrazi rather than blue-red Eldrazi, in my opinion. Because blue-red Eldrazi was very well positioned against the other Eldrazi decks, but probably slightly worse position against the rest of the field.
Okay.
While the colorless Eldrazi seem to beat the field, like, hands down, thanks to the Chalice of the Void, but it just couldn't beat the mirror match.
Yeah, blue-red Eldrazi wins over colorless Eldrazi.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the colorless version
Definitely.
is really much more straightforward and,
And much
and
more
aggressive.
performing, much more performing against the rest of the field.
We will see.
Yeah, we shall see. For now, I mean, this is all.
We will see you tomorrow.
We're gonna see you tomorrow. Tournament will start about 10 a.m. and
We will start.
we will
streaming
probably start streaming about
third or fourth.
yeah, the third or
round
fourth
of
round.
Swiss
So
or-
something like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Well, European, whatever Greenwich time. I don't know how that works. So yeah, like 1, 2 p.m. we're gonna make an announcement or something, and we're gonna see you on Twitch.
Okay.